Who is piloting the UAPs or UFOs constantly seen in our skies? Where are they from? Why are they here? How long have they been here? What is their mission on planet Earth? Do they come in peace, or do they have more sinister motives? Join Mad Mark as he uncovers the answers to these questions and many more of the mysteries that puzzle us all on Who Are the Aliens? The history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. And now, here's Mad Mark.
Today's episode, Enki speaks about the creation of mankind. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Are the Aliens? The history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. I, of course, am Mad Mark, and before I begin, just a quick reminder to please like, share, and comment. It helps so much I can't even tell you. Also, I am happy to announce that if you are watching this program on YouTube, you now can purchase my merch right here on YouTube. That's right. Just click the store tab on my channel page right below down there, and you can check out and order all of the shirts that I currently have available. Okay, today we continue our studies of Zecharia Sitchin's 9th book, The Lost Book of Enki, published by Simon & Schuster in 2001. When we left off on episode 31, or season 2, episode 6, Enki had just announced his solution to the labor crisis in the mines. His suggestion was to create workers by mixing Anunnaki DNA with that of the creatures known as Homo erectus, which were the primitive beings on Earth at that time. We continue on now as Enki reveals the details of his plan to the other leaders of the Earth mission. The other leaders were both astonished and fascinated by my words. Creatures of the Abzu they are, I continued. They walk erect on 2 legs. They live among the animals of the steppe. They do not wear any garments. They eat plants with their mouths. They drink water from the lakes and ditches. Their hair is shaggy over their entire bodies. They jostle with gazelles and take delight being among the other creatures of Earth. The other leaders listened with amazement. No creature such as that has ever been seen in the Eden, and Lil rose to his feet. Ninhursag was intrigued. Eons ago, on Nibiru, our ancient ancestors may have been just like that, she announced. I must see these beings. I led them all to the House of Life, where I had several of these creatures secured in cages. Upon our arrival, the creatures became agitated, banging their fists on the bars. They grunted and snorted. No words were they speaking. I have been studying both the males and the females of this species, I declared. They procreate in the same manner that we do. My son, Ningazita, has taken samples of their sperm and ovum and examined them, and they are very similar to us. Like 2 serpents, we are entwined. If I were to combine their DNA with ours, put our mark on them, a primitive worker I could create. Beings who will understand and carry out my commands. They should be able to use our tools and perform our labor for us. Relief for our workers it shall be. But Enlil was hesitant. This matter is one of great importance, he stated. Long ago on Nibiru, we abolished slavery. Tools and technology are now our slaves, not other beings. Here you are talking casually about creating a new being that has never existed before. Creation is the job of the Creator alone. It is not for us to tamper with, and Lil was adamant. I do not wish to create slaves, but helpers, I responded. Exactly, Ninhursag agreed with me. The creature already exists. We will just be giving it an upgrade. Yes, I continued. This will not be a new creature. We will just take this existing being and make it more like us. Just a small bit of our DNA is all that will be needed. But Enlil remained opposed. This is a bad idea, he screamed. It goes against the rules of planetary exploration. We cannot tamper with the beings here on Earth. Our mission here is to mine gold, not to do the job of the Creator. My brother, Ninhursag responded, the Creator has endowed us with great wisdom and knowledge. Should we not use the abilities that the Creator has given us? Wouldn't it be wrong not to do this? With the knowledge given to us by the Creator, we have traveled through this solar system and arrived on this foreign planet. We are using the gold we have found here to repair our own planet's atmosphere. These are amazing feats that we have achieved through the knowledge bestowed on us by the Creator. Why should we stop now? Ninurta stood in agreement with Enlil. Then let's use our great knowledge to develop better tools and machines to mine the gold, not create a new species, he demanded. Ningazida then rose in agreement with Ninhursag and I. Perhaps this is our destiny, he announced. The utilization of our great knowledge should not be prevented. Everything we have accomplished up to this point has led us to this moment. Enlil spoke once more. Is this destiny or fate? Yes, we journeyed here to Earth from Nibiru to extract gold to save our planet, to use our own people to do the work, and now we are actually discussing creating a new species? Has this course been destined for us from the beginning, or is it up to us to choose? This is the question that needs to be answered. I suggest we bring this question before King Anu. And thus we did. The king, in turn, brought the question before the council. The elders, the savants, and the commanders were consulted. The discussions were long and bitter. They spoke of life, death, and destiny. Was there another way to obtain gold? Nibiru's survival was in danger. After much debate, the decision was made. The rules of planetary journeys be forsaken. Let Nibiru be saved. Let the new beings be created. From Anu's palace, the council's decision was beamed to me, and I was grateful to learn that they had decided in my favor. Let Ninhursag assist me in this venture, I stated, for she has great understanding in such matters. Let it be so, Ninhursag replied, and Lil remained silent. The workers were given the news by Inugi. Until these beings be created, he announced, we must continue the toil in the mines. The workers were happy to learn that relief was coming, but sad to learn that for now their work must continue. The first task that Ninhursag and I undertook was to capture more of the earth creatures now known as Homo erectus. My son, Ningazida Thoth, worked with us as well, and at first our attempts were futile. They are like monsters, Ninhursag was heard to say. Yes, I agreed. We need to develop formulas. How much of this? How much of that? And we will need wombs for conception. Your understanding of motherhood will be required here. She worked side by side with Ningazida, studying the creatures and their physical makeup. Perhaps we should just try impregnating one of the female creatures by an Anunnaki male, Ninhursag suggested. I tried that already, I replied. It too resulted in failure. The female never conceived. There was no birth. We eventually reached the conclusion that this process needed to be done in stages, so again and again we tried, and we suffered one defeat after another. One was born blind, the next had paralyzed feet, the next had trembling hands, the next a malfunctioning liver, There were creatures with arms too short for their hands to reach their mouths, one whose lungs were too small to breathe. But through it all, Ninhursag remained hopeful. With each failure I am learning more, she stated. My heart begs me to continue. And our next attempt was almost a success. It was perfect, but it couldn't speak. Only grunts and groans came from its mouth. We were so close this time, I sighed in disappointment. But I think I know what is missing. All this time we have been using the female creatures to birth the babies. Perhaps what is needed is an Anunnaki birth mother. We stared at each other for a long time, pondering the thought of this next step. Finally, Ninhursag broke the silence. I believe there is wisdom in your words, she said. But where will we find an Anunnaki female that is willing to carry one of these creatures to term, I contemplated. Perhaps I should ask my wife, Enki. I turned to leave, but just then Ninhursag stopped me. No, she seemed unsteady on her feet. This has been my task from the beginning, and I am responsible for it. Any reward or endangerment should be mine alone. I shall provide the Anunnaki womb, be it for good or evil. Let the fates decide. I bowed my head and gently embraced her. So be it, I decreed. Once again, we created the mixture, and then I inserted it into Ninhursag's womb, and she successfully conceived. The next question to consider was how long would the pregnancy last? Would it be 9 months by Earth time or by Anunnaki time? As it turned out, it was longer than on Earth, but quicker than on Nibiru. But when the day finally came, the child was absolutely perfect. I handed the newborn to Ninhursag, who then held it aloft in her hands. I have made it, she shouted victoriously. The child was beautiful. Everything about him was exactly what we had been striving for. He was not covered in shaggy hair like the beasts he was created from. Instead, he had smooth, hairless skin similar to ours, and the hair on his head was dark black. His skin was the color of dark red blood, like the clay of the Abzu was its hue. However, we couldn't help but notice that its manhood was different from that of an Anunnaki male. A skin from its forepart was hanging. Let the earthling from us Anunnaki by this foreskin be distinguished, I stated. And then, what shall we name him? Ninhursag cast her hand upon the newborn's body and caressed him. Adamu, I shall call him, she announced. The one who is like Earth's clay, that will be his name. And a model indeed he shall be, I decreed. Very well will he be treated. No toil will he himself bear. His essence shall be the mold for all future human beings. Future humans indeed, Ningazita shouted. We will need to make more. From this day forward, whose wombs will carry the fertilized eggs? Ninhursag's solution was to summon the female healers from her city of Shirapak. She would show them the child and explain the procedure. But they must volunteer. No one would be forced to commit to this task. In the end, 7 females stepped forward and accepted this duty. Let their names for all time be remembered, Ninhursag announced. They are heroes by whom the new race of primitive workers shall be created. The female Anunnaki healers were inseminated, and at the allotted time, 7 male earthlings were born. Once again, it was a complete success. The first 7 primitive workers have been created, Ningazita announced. Let the procedure be repeated to create 7 more. My son, I clasped his shoulder. Not even 7 by 7 will be sufficient. Yes, we have been successful, but this process is taking far too long. At this rate, the Anunnaki miners will revolt again before we can create enough workers to replace them. We must find a faster way to do this. Indeed, Ninhursag agreed, and the task is far too demanding on the Anunnaki females. We must create female humans, I declared. Companions to the males they shall be. Hey gang, Mad Mark here, and by popular demand, I now have merch available. I've found the perfect company to work with, and they do an outstanding job. There are t-shirts and hoodies available right now, and who knows what I will come up with in the future. There are 2 different designs to choose from at the moment. You have this one and this one. And these t-shirts and hoodies come in a variety of colors and sizes, so no matter what you're looking for, there's something for everybody. If you're watching this show right now on YouTube, you can find this merch by clicking the shop link below in the show description, or just pay a visit to www.madmarktv.com. That's the all-new Who Are the Aliens t-shirts and hoodies. Get yours today. Let them know each other. Let the 2 become one. Let them procreate and thus create their own children. You'll have to change the formula from male to female, Ningazita said. Let me this time summon my spouse Enki, I declared. If she is willing, let her be the mold for creating a female earthling. I summoned her to the House of Life and showed her everything pertaining to our human project, what was required, as well as the risks and the dangers involved. Let it be done, she agreed, fascinated by what we had been accomplishing. Everything went according to plan, the same as it had with the Adamu. Only this time, when enough months had passed with still no birth, Ninhursag was forced to perform a C-section to deliver the child. But the child was perfect, and we had achieved our goal. What name will you give to this child? I asked Enki. Let Tiamat be her name, my spouse replied, like the planet of old from which the Earth and the asteroid belt were created. Okay, gang, this is Mad Mark again. I just wanted to pause the story for a moment to insert some information. If you've been watching my show since the first episode I ever did, then you're about to notice a few discrepancies between Enki's version of the upcoming events from those written by the ancient Sumerians in their texts. For one thing, Enki's role is greatly reduced here, probably done by Enki on purpose since the 2 of them never got along very well. But since this is Enki's account of what happened, I believe it is probably a lot more accurate. I just wanted to mention that because there are some obvious differences in this story, and I'm sure you'll be noticing it as we go forward from here. Okay, back to Enki. After the successful birth of Tiamat, more female humans were created for a total of 7 females as counterparts for the 7 males we had previously created. Let the human males inseminate the human females, I declared to the others. Let the primitive workers now create their own offspring, and over time they shall have more and more children. Plentiful will be the workers' numbers, and the toil of the Anunnaki miners will be ended. We decided to take Adamu and Tiamat to the Eden in order to show the other Anunnaki what we had accomplished, and we built an enclosure there for the 2 of them to roam around in. All of the Anunnaki came from far and wide to see them, and Lil was amazed at our achievement. Even Marduk visited from the way station on Lamu, Mars. Everyone was astounded at the sight of them. A wonder of wonders to behold, they shouted. Your hands have made it. The Ijiji were the most excited of all of them because they knew that their toil in the mines was now coming to an end. Back in the Abzu, as the human children grew to adulthood, we began to notice a problem. They were mating, but there was no conceiving among the females. Ningazita built a camouflaged blind area nearby where he could observe them in secret. They were mating on a regular basis, but no pregnancies were resulting. This was indeed troubling. Ningazita, Ninhursag, and I rushed back to the House of Healing in Shuruppak, where we brought Adamu and Tiamat in for some testing. We examined the DNA strands and compared them to Anunnaki DNA strands. Ningazita noticed that there was indeed a discrepancy. 2 parts of the human DNA strands were missing. They had been overlooked when we created the original mixtures, and without them, the humans were sterile. If word of this gets out, I panicked, if the miners get wind of this news, mutiny will again ensue. But Ningazita had a solution. He ushered all of the nurses and medical staff out of the area and locked the doors behind them. Only Adamu, Tiamat, Ninhursag, Ningazita, and I remained. My son put the 4 of us under anesthesia and quickly set to work. From my rib, the life essence he extracted and placed it into Adamu. He repeated that procedure with Ninhursag and Tiamat, and then closed up the wounds. Okay, this is Mad Mark interrupting the story once again. I feel that I need to insert some information here to better clarify what Enki was talking about in regards to this procedure being performed by Ningazita. Evidently, he chose to dumb it down for a general audience, when in fact there is a much more scientific explanation for the surgery that was performed here. You see, DNA extracted from a rib, especially the first rib and the proximal ends, contain higher concentrations of marrow and orbicular bone, which provide excellent protection for the DNA compared with other parts of the body. So the best source of the DNA that Ningazita needed was indeed found in the ribs. This also explains where the biblical story of the creation of Eve from Adam's rib originated. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Back to the story. When we awakened, Ningazita proudly declared, "It is done. To the human's tree of life, 2 branches have been added. With procreating powers, their life essences are now entwined." Soon thereafter, Adamu and Tiamat were placed back into the orchard in the Eden facility. But their behavior had changed. They were suddenly aware of their nakedness, and Tiamat created aprons from leaves for them to cover their reproductive organs. One day, as Enlil was strolling through the orchard, enjoying the shade provided by the trees, he noticed Adamu and Tiamat wearing these aprons. "What is the meaning of this?" Enlil demanded, and he quickly summoned me to provide an explanation. I explained to him the problems that we had encountered, how the humans were not able to reproduce, and how Ningazita had examined the DNA strands and concluded that more Anunnaki DNA was required. Enlil became enraged at my words. "This entire project was not to my liking," he shouted in fury. "I was opposed to creating this new species from the beginning. The being that we need, it already exists, you said. All we need to do is give it a little boost to create primitive workers, you said. But it's become so much more than that, as I knew it would. You have put Anunnaki females at risk. Even Ninhursag and Enki were endangered, and all for nothing. Your handiwork has been a failure. And then you top it off by giving the last bit of our life essence to these beings. What now prevents them from being just like us?" I hastily summoned Ninhursag and Ningazita to help me pacify Enlil. "My lord Enlil," Ningazita spoke, "yes, we have given them the ability to procreate, but we have not given them the long lifespan that we Anunnaki have. Correct, Ninhursag backed us up. What choice did we have? If our task had ended in failure, Nibiru would be doomed to face its fate. If we had not given them the ability to produce their own offspring, the process of creating more of them would have gone on forever. Then let them go where they are most needed, Enlil responded savagely. To the Abzu with them. I hereby expel them from the Eden. And that is where I will leave you for this episode. I hope you can agree that although I have covered this information before on past episodes, these in-depth details being provided by Enki are certainly more intense and a lot more informative. And you have quite a bit to digest there, and we have so much more to cover and learn. I am Mad Mark, and I sincerely hope that you have enjoyed this episode. If so, please like, share, and comment. It helps so much. And please subscribe so that you never miss a single episode. Also, please tell your friends and help spread the word about this show. If you have any questions regarding the content discussed on this program, just message me through madmarktv.com or on any of my social media platforms. Here's something of interest for those of you who happen to be artistic, and I know that there are several of you out there. I am now taking submissions of artwork that I can use for my new line of merchandise. Yes, Mad Mark merch is here, as I mentioned earlier in the show. Right now I have many shirts for you to choose from, but eventually I will have hats, toilet seat covers, you name it. If I can put my face on it, we'll be selling it. If you're watching this program on YouTube, all you need to do to access my merchandise is just click the store tab down below and you can check it all out. Otherwise, you can always go to madmarktv.com and it's all right there on the website. But seriously, I need your artwork. Just draw something full color that has to do with the Anunnaki, like the scenes you see behind me here on the show. And unfortunately, there's no money involved in this, but it's a great chance for you to have your artwork out where the public can see it. So get busy creating some cool works of art, and who knows, your work could end up on a future Who Are the Aliens t-shirt or other merchandise. So send your submissions to me through www.madmarktv.com or on any of my social media platforms. I also have a special heads up for those of you who have Facebook accounts. I now offer a subscribers only page on Facebook where for just 99 cents a month, pretty cheap, you can watch each episode of my show right there on Facebook. It's a handy alternative to having to hassle with YouTube or Spotify just to watch the show. And all of my past episodes are on there too. So it's a pretty convenient and good deal for just 99 cents a month. If you're interested, there's a link down in the show notes. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone that listening to this program is no excuse to not read the book that we have been discussing here, which has been The Lost Book of Enki by Zecharia Sitchin. It is an amazing work, and I am leaving out much information in order to keep the show flowing properly, so please do yourselves a favor and read that book. Who Are the Aliens? The History of the Anunnaki on Planet Earth is written and produced by me, Mad Mark. Today we have taken another step in our ongoing journey to discover the truth. I promise you that things will get more and more interesting the further we delve into this topic of who are the aliens, the history of the Anunnaki on planet Earth. Peace to all of you, and remember to always walk in love. Bye for now.
You've been listening to Who Are the Aliens? The History of the Anunnaki on Planet Earth with your host, Mad Mark. Join us again on our next program when Mad Mark will once again uncover the answers to the mysteries that puzzle mankind.